The tale unfolded with a weary boy standing above a lifeless horde of monsters, clutching his colossal sword, utterly drained. The narrative unfurls in a world where humanity, defeated by these otherworldly creatures, gradually succumbs like wildfire. Modern weapons prove futile against the monsters, and vital regions like Yunjian, Pinglai, and Zishan fall into enemy hands one after another. In the face of this invasion, a small faction of humanity, endowed with extraordinary abilities, the Hunters, becomes the primary force in the ongoing struggle. The war stretches on for an entire year, marked by numerous heroic sacrifices, until the monsters are finally halted at the border of Zishan. Throughout this relentless conflict, countless individuals suffer the loss of loved ones, friends, and families, causing immense grief within the human populace. Simultaneously, amidst the chaos, some succumb to betrayal, turning against their compatriots to seek refuge among the monsters. This betrayal brings them astonishing benefits and powerful positions. As the boundary formed by the Zishan border becomes a dividing line, humans find themselves enslaved within the territory occupied by the monsters. The struggle for survival continues in a world where treachery and heroism collide, and the fate of humanity hangs in the balance. Finally, a fleeting moment of peace arrived between humanity and the monsters. However, amidst this respite, a formally dressed, seemingly battered gentleman dismissed this peace as nothing but nonsense. The scene shifts to the monster-occupied region, specifically the Zishan city governor's residence. The grandeur of a castle is illuminated by lights, creating a seemingly majestic atmosphere. Within the castle, a lavish spread of food graces the tables, and two gentlemen engage in conversation. One, with a bald head, remarks that even if it were a wedding banquet, he finds it a bit extravagant, especially considering the scarcity of supplies during this challenging period. The other gentleman responds, explaining that this is no ordinary occasion. It marks the alliance marriage between the governor and the largest financial group in Zishan, the UNA Financial Group. The bald-headed man counters, expressing skepticism, but the other gentleman points out that this is not just any marriage, it's the first ever union between humanity and the monsters. Therefore, as the inaugural symbol of peace, the celebration naturally warrants a grandeur beyond the usual. The bald man, sporting a cup cap on his plate, questions his companion about not eating. His buddy reveals a lack of appetite, and looking at a poor boy passing by, he questions what exactly the special hunter unit is up to. He wonders why they allowed a little beggar to slip into the assembly hall, adding that the poverty on display leaves a bitter taste in his mouth. In the next scene, a boy arrives, appearing impoverished with a dirty face and torn clothes. The boy innocently approaches one of the two waitresses and asks if he can have a piece of blueberry cake, explaining that it's his little sister's birthday today. Meanwhile, both ladies appear visibly irritated and sternly tell him to hurry up and leave. They remind him that this place is not meant for a lowly beggar like him, and insist that he should be elsewhere. Suddenly, behind the boy, a giant silhouette emerges, sending shivers down the waitress's spines as they gaze upon the imposing figure. The scene shifts, revealing a colossal one-eyed monster standing behind the boy, seemingly crafted from clay. The monster, with a resounding voice, inquires if there are any more blueberry cakes available. The waitress, frozen in fear, stammers, but before she can respond, the monster decides to use the little boy as a snack before his meal. With gigantic hands, he lifts the boy and opens his mouth wide, causing the child to cry in terror. The trembling waitress desperately offers to provide the blueberry cake, but it's in vain as the monster mercilessly munches on the little boy, leaving the ground stained with blood. The monster's entire mouth is covered in the boy's blood, when suddenly, a rock is thrown at him. In the next scene, a little girl is seen throwing rocks at the monster, tears streaming down her face. She demands the monster give her brother back. Onlookers, torn between fear and pity, watch as the girl defiantly provokes the monster, hitting it with mere pebbles. As the monster starts walking toward the little girl, the onlookers, terrified, begin to run for their lives, not wanting to be implicated because of the girl. Despite the danger, the brave girl stands her ground, continuing to hurl rocks at the monster with unwavering determination. The monstrous figure, with its gigantic lips and face, inches closer to the little girl and callously remarks that her brother was indeed quite tasty. Tears stream down the girl's face as she confronts the colossal monster looming before her. The monster, undeterred, comments that she seems tasty too and ominously moves to sample her flavor as well. The scene shifts to the brightly shimmering grand hall of the castle, where a man, seemingly a president named Jin, stands with respect as he talks to the governor. Jin expresses gratitude and informs the governor that they have reached an arrangement for a ceasefire, quelling the flames of war between humanity and the monsters. The Zishan region has already begun the process of recovery and rebuilding. With a tone of appreciation, Jin mentions that the quality of life for ordinary citizens has rapidly returned to pre-war levels. He looks forward to a bright future and conveys extreme gratitude on behalf of everyone towards the esteemed governor. Jin adds that the Jinshi Financial Group would like to offer their help in rebuilding the city. The scene shifts again, revealing the governor, a monstrous figure resembling a boar, with a beautiful woman by his side. He informs President Jin that he has already shown significant support to his troops, and naturally, he won't forget about these contributions. The governor generously offers the position of the bank president of the Zishan Reserve Bank and a position as a board member of the China Merchants Group. He asks President Jin if he is satisfied with these arrangements. President Jin responds with a nod of affirmation, expressing extreme satisfaction and thanking the esteemed governor for his benevolence and generous display of support. Meanwhile, two men stand nearby, observing the conversation between President Jin and the governor. The man with black hair comments that anyone would be envious, and President Jin has truly struck gold by securing these two lucrative positions. The other man, with a big mustache, dismisses the significance, stating that compared to the gains of the Yuan Financial Group, it's worlds apart. He believes that the cunning Yuan Genuine has been in league with the monsters from the very beginning, occupying around half of the property in the Zishan region. He expresses frustration at the extent of their influence, to the point that even his cherished daughter, Yuan Jia, is willing to be married off to the governor. He fears that their prospects will be limitless. The man with black hair responds, pointing out the stark contrast between the poor little girl bride and the formidable figure of the governor. He expresses hope that no human will die after this significant wedding day. The next moment, the bride claps her hands, drawing everyone's attention towards her. Descending the stairs with grace, she announces that since all the honored guests are now present, they will proceed according to the plan. She instructs the attendants to block all exits so that no one can leave the place. Calmly, she reassures everyone not to be alarmed. Yuan Jia reveals that the leader of the rebel army is hiding among them at this very moment, and they will swiftly apprehend him, bringing the situation to an end instantly. However, the guests in the hall raise their voices in concern, doubting her intentions. Some express fears that she might be planning to use everyone as bait. A man dressed in white sternly addresses the situation, stating that he doesn't care about anyone else, but he definitely doesn't want to stay in a place threatened by the rebel army. Meanwhile, the guards stationed at the main door reassure the crowd to exercise restraint, assuring them that everything is within Miss Yuan Jia's calculations. They guarantee the safety of all the guests present on this day. Suddenly, while the guests are gathered in the hall, something streaks overhead at a furious speed, covered in smoke, and crashes directly into the roof. Blood begins to rain down, leaving the guests horrified and terrorized as they find themselves drenched in the gruesome shower. In the next moment, a voice pierces through the chaos, a boy's voice accompanied by the visage of a monster. The voice declares that, in celebration of the governor's wedding, he wanted to give everyone a little gift. The scene shifts, revealing a boy with a mischievous grin on his face, holding the head of the monster that had consumed the little boy earlier, dripping with blood. The scene shifts, revealing a boy with a mischievous grin on his face, holding the head of the monster that had consumed the little boy earlier, dripping with blood. The onlookers shout in shock and disbelief as the unfolding events grip their attention. Meanwhile, the bride gracefully descends the stairs, heading towards the boy. The terrified guests run frantically, baffled by the audacity of someone daring to disrupt the governor's grand wedding day. The lady, in all her grace, reveals the boy's identity as a rank-wanted criminal Zuo Kai. As we catch a glimpse of the lady's face, it seems to brim with malice and deadly intent. She informs the boy that she was occupied dealing with rebel forces just moments ago, avoiding a confrontation with a minor character like him. However, she discloses that his entrance was perfectly timed, and she will use him as the first gift to her husband. Standing confidently, she proceeds to share another piece of information, stating that she has already dispatched hundreds to the martial arts center where he took refuge. She reveals that their original goal was to use the martial arts center as bait to draw him out, but since he isn't there, everyone he knows has likely already been completely massacred. We catch a first glance at the boy who confidently declares that if those who underwent his training were defeated by the lackeys she sent, it only means they are equally trash. He asserts that if she is trash, then she deserves to die. With a sly grin and a glint shimmering in her eyes, she retorts that she doesn't like stubborn men, usually interpreting it as compensating for another body part not being hard enough. Standing there, she orders her minions to capture Zuo Kai immediately, and her lackeys begin to move. The lackeys lunge towards the boy, aiming to kill, but he stands unfazed. Raising his hand while commanding their loyalty, ethereal ropes of light swiftly target every lackey in his vicinity. Casually whipping out his light with one hand while the other remains in his pocket, all the lackeys lay on the ground unconscious, leaving the surprised princess to wonder how this feat is even possible. Among the bunch of idiots were an S-rank hunter and 3 A-rank hunters, all defeated in an instant. In the next moment, the boy starts to fade on his spot, and in the blink of an eye, stands before the lady, looking her eye to eye. Cheekily, he asks if these so-called hunters she relied on were the trash she spoke highly of earlier. As the boy gets closer to the princess, she begins to sweat bullets, realizing her imminent danger. It becomes clear to her that she might be facing death. Unwilling to accept this reality and reluctant to let go of her ambitions and hard work, she pleads silently not to die. Fortunately for her, the boy turns out to be a man of culture and states that he doesn't harm women. This remark leaves her embarrassed and blushing. However, an evil grin starts to etch on the princess's face as she considers him foolish for sticking to his belief of not harming women. In the back of her mind, she plans to make him regret his decision. But before her mischievous thoughts can fully unfold, the boy delivers a devastating blow, sending her soaring through the air and crashing into the wall. With a mischievous grin, the boy reveals that he just thought about it and realized that since she's married to a monster, she shouldn't be counted as a woman. Even worse, he suggests that she might not be human anymore. In that same moment, the gorilla arrives on the scene, standing tall before the boy after witnessing his bride being devastatingly blown away by the brat. The monster reveals his curiosity, noting that the boy doesn't seem to emanate any magic power, isn't a hunter, and obviously isn't a monster. He wonders who still possesses such strength. Unfazed, the boy stands in a confident stance, brandishing his fist, and tells the gorilla to remember this. In the next moment, he fiercely swings his fist, distorting the air around it, and declares it as martial arts. He delivers another devastating blow to the Monster King's belly. However, to everyone's surprise, the monster is still alive. The monster questions the boy's strength, expressing disappointment in what he perceives as the boy's weakness. However, the boy's face is etched with another grin. At that moment, he utters the words, "Golden Bell 18th layer," and it becomes apparent that his fist has transformed into something red. He further employs Iron Shirt 12th layer, and his legs are now adorned with red armor-like enhancements. Continuing his transformations, the boy uses Black Demon Overlord Body 16th layer, covering his face with red metallic features. Finally, he completes the sequence with 9 transformations of the Golden Body 3rd layer. What unfolds next doesn't resemble a human anymore. The boy looks like a pure devil clad in iron armor, proudly brandishing his transformed body. He tells the monster that the sensation of unfolding his body. The next part will be posted tomorrow. Until then, please consider liking and subscribing.